Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. And those who are on the looking overseas, can I use the word TV land? You're very welcomed. And those who will look at us later on from recording, thank you for your time, your presence. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about what we did in this workshop. It's driven, as you can understand, under the CoU initiative, and we look today at the common information space. And the common information space is a term that is used very much so to explain how data can be used and shared among first responders, operatives, multi-agencies, all in different way. And it's crucial for how crisis management, disaster management can be done. So if you think about it, if you have a flood, for example, and the flood it knows no boundaries. It can go to, say, from Holland to Germany or wherever it happens to be. You have different operations working there. You have different people, different agencies working together. So if we can get the knowledge capacity put together in a manner and form that they can share knowledge, they can make better informed decisions, and therefore they become more operative and more effective. And that's give you just a sample flavor of what the Common Information System is about. And today we brought together 3 projects: the Secure project, the Sector project, and the Episode project. Each of these 3 projects are looking specifically at some part of the Common Information System. So if we, excuse me, if you take a look behind me, apologies for this, you will see where the Episode very much so is looking at the earlier stages of it through mitigation, where we have Episode and Secure looking at the recovery end, and we have Secure looking at the planning stage. But each of them are looking at different entities of the overall system to make it work. So let's just take a look at what these projects are. And let me go stand, I think is better. So if you look at the Secure Core project, it aims to identify data sets, processes, information systems, and business models used by first responders and police authorities in order to provide a dynamic and secure cloud-based common information space, which is based around the pan-European disaster inventory of past critical events and disasters. So that we're gathering the information from the past, and we're using it in a manner and form that we share the information in a manner and form that's understood at different levels. Now, a key thing here is interoperability. Interoperability is not just about data. It goes from semantic to technical to physical to ethical, legal, all the way up to the policy levels. And it's trying to use that knowledge. And these projects, the 3 that we're going to go through now, actually used some of the work that they did to kind of show what is needed in these specific areas. So that's the first project. The second project that we can look at now is the Sector project. And Sector is a project which I'm pleased to say worked on with Sadie and my colleagues, and it aims to provide support for collaborative crisis management processes and help first responders, including fire brigades and so forth, to share information and resources while respecting, and this is the key word, the autonomy of each agency and the legal requirements at the local level. So here you can get a feel and picture that when we're doing this, when we're dealing with interoperability, when we're dealing with data sharing, we have to respect the autonomy. We have to also understand the legal requirements. So what's important in one specific region, say Holland, for example, there's the flood, it may not be the same level as understood as it is in Germany. So we have to understand how the legal system works and develop the platforms that are based all around that. If we go to the next slide, the Episode project, very much so again in the same kind of space, is aimed at providing a common European information space concept for future integration of pan-European crisis and disaster response capability. It involves the development of common taxonomies and ontology models, along with the establishment of interoperability at both physical and statistical level. So again, the same things. Interoperability is key at semantic level, at technological level, and this whole project is looking at making a common information space working. So therefore, the first responders, the fire brigade, all the people involved along the chain can work better and more efficient. So we go to So we took an approach today. We had a wonderful workshop, and at the workshop we decided that what we needed to have is to share the knowledge, get the understanding, because when people talk about a common information space, they don't know what it means. They're not clear on it. Today we kind of explained it. We explained it through a number of ways. We explained it through the process of holding the likes of round tables, where we got discussion going two ways, from an ethical point of view, from a technical point of view, and also from an end user perspective. We also looked at key areas like the pan-European inventories. We looked at taxonomies and standardizations. And all along the workshop was designed not to talk, but to listen and to get engagement going. And we're very pleased to say we've achieved that. And now, as of next week, we will now bring together the three projects and hold a meeting and see how we're going to bring collectively these projects forward. And that's very, very important. So after today, or later after this presentation is done, we will be at the sector dissemination table, and we want to continue talking to people and listen to them to get their inputs and advice or experiences to see how we can bring this whole area forward, because there have been findings. These are some of the findings that came out today. Different approaches from the three projects demonstrated good complementary functionality. That was a key message that came across. The need for complementing existing legacy systems rather aiming to replace them is critical. So nobody in the fire brigade or in the police service actually wants to change their system, because it's taking time, effort, money, training, and so forth to get it there. So we want to use the existing systems. So all the work we do in this area is got to support them as opposed to replace them. Prototyping is existing. Now, this is the key question. If we have the prototypes there, if we have existing systems, how do we bring it to the marketplace? So the end users are very clear to make it known to us, we like what you're doing, we can see the advantage of it, but when a crisis happens, or a situation happens, you have the technology, but we're the end users. So how do we bridge this gap, and how do we go forward? So that's something that we're going to talk about next week at our meeting to try to drive this whole forward, but it's a key point. It was said to us that one of the doctors who was at the event, at a workshop, made it clear to us that they have a problem on how to collect information and digitize data. Currently they're using the handmade approach to the writing notes. So they want to get the whole process brought to as early as possible in the whole chain of crisis management. They do not want to wait during long, so the timing becomes a factor. So this is something that we've recognized. Yes, we can see what we can do to build on that. And the bullet point highlighted at the end and in dark is clear. We need to get a better return at these R&D investments of allowing existing technologies to be used for new applications. And the message is clear. At the workshop, they were saying, technology is fine, it's great, but if it stays in the cocoon area and it doesn't get to the end users, it has little value, except that it was great for demonstration purposes. So somehow we need to recognize there's a problem there and find a way in which we bring it forward. And there may be many solutions or options, from political levels down to policy levels and so forth, but that needs to be discussed. And that's a key message that came across from today's meeting. That's the general. We go to the next slide, please. From an end user's perspective, the common information space allows people to be aware of existing tools, which is not currently the case, and provide a mechanism for combining them for new applications. An important point to us. Why? Because this will provide better value for the European taxpayers and results in solutions being brought to the market quicker and for the benefit of the end users. So again, the end users say, technology is great, but we've got to get it to us. And somehow there's a strategic problem between having the technology that's been demonstrated quite well today and getting it to the end users. And we have to recognize that's there. New shared systems should be built with the intention of allowing them for interconnections. So they're saying there's no point in going off and creating peripheral systems or systems. They have to be designed where interoperability is the foreground. From a semantic point of view, from a technological point of view, they've got to be done. And we should be defining within the European Commission what specifically are the ones that we want you to follow. So any new system coming forward, be it through Horizon 2020 or individually, will recognize this is how we want it done. So we set it from within the Commission. And a question was raised that definitely something is missing strategically to get the buy-in from national governments. It's not working. So the point is, if we're doing it, but to get it at local level, we need to have the government buying into this. So again, the issues are coming across to us today. We're saying, right, same problem, great solutions, but if we don't get buy-in, we don't have anything at all. So the end users want this problem looked at going forward. We're going to look at two other slides at the moment. One is called standardization, the other is taxonomy. So from a standardization point of view, and I know we're going to have a separate session on standardization, but from our point of view, when we looked at the common information space, these were the findings. Contribution to standards is a huge challenge for the EC funding projects, given the limitations of times and budgets. Many standards exist that can be envisaged, covering the layers of the interoperability stack. So they're out there. So in other words, we're not creating standards in that sense, we're using ones that are out there. We in the projects, EPSIDEC, we in sector and we in Secure Core have come up with a CWA kind of approach, and we're focused very much on terminology to move the whole process. So we are now defining the terminology when it comes to the common information space so that others will follow. It's a CWA. The CWA has a limited lifespan. It has 6 years, and if nothing happens, in other words, trying to do technical report or standard stuff, it will die. So it's in our interest to move this whole process forward, and we have terminology as a starting point to go forward. Next slide. Taxonomies. The taxonomy is not necessarily visible to humans in the loops, but it's there, and lots of algorithms in the background. It's moving in how the method models and the data models work together, so they're a clear part of it. And demonstrating it at times can be proved difficult, but we managed successfully to show both of them working through the demonstrations in sector and also Secure Core today. The integration of legal, ethical, social integration seems to be providing significant added value. So if you look at the layer of the interoperability, and we're not just talking about semantics, we're not talking about technology, we're also talking about the legal, how governments across each other communicate. Or if something goes wrong, what kind of legal standard do you use and how you apply it. So the legal aspect is also becoming a critical part to this whole area of the common information space. And finally, we would not seek to replace existing languages, but rather to focus on alignment. So in other words, whether be it German, be it French, be it English, the whole focus on getting alignment of the language. So when the data is coming across, when the information is coming across, it is clear, it's well understood, and it's well defined, and everybody who's involved in the process at a crisis management stage, where it goes right across different geographic areas, can understand, and decisions are made wisely with correct information given to them. So I think that's me in terms of the presentation, and yeah, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being here, and those who are looking in TV land, yeah, I hope you found it very beneficial. Thank you. Bye.